So when you go to a CMP exam, the examiner is supposed to have access to your VA treatment records. So whatever treatment you receive through the VA, that should be in your file, and the examiner should have access to it. What we will say, though, is the examiner will not always review it. So if you have records and you have something to point to that's going to help show your symptoms and the severity, I would definitely bring those with you and show it to the examiner, explain it to them, bring a copy of the records and give them to the examiner. You don't have to. Right. The examiner, again, should have access to it, but you can't always trust that they're going to see what you want them to see.
Right. I agree. It can be beneficial to bring something, like Melanie said, that you can pinpoint to. Don't bring a stack of medical records for the examiner to look through, because the likelihood that they're going to do that is very low. So, but if you have very specific records that you want them to look at, then I think it's always beneficial to bring those with you. And the records that they're looking at are the same medical records that a veteran would be able to access through, like, their My Healthy Vet, or whatever system that you're seeing your VA medical records in.
Yeah. Now, if you're getting treatment outside of the VA examiner is not going to have those records unless you've already submitted them to the VA. Mm-hmm. So we would suggest whatever your private treatment facility is, request the records from them, review them, and bring them with you to the exam to show the examiner. Because again, unless you have already submitted them to the VA, the examiner won't have those.
And if you have a private medical opinion, a nexus letter that you've had developed outside of the VA, then you may want to also bring that and give that to the examiner as well, because that will not be part of your medical records. And in most cases, it should have been provided to the examiner, but that does not mean that it was or that they have reviewed it.
One thing that's often difficult for veterans is when they have been through a traumatic experience, whether it's military sexual trauma or something that they went through in combat, it's often really difficult to talk about. And when you go to an exam, the examiners are asking and want to know what your stressor is. So something that I often tell my veterans is you can write down your statement and hand that to them for them to read. If it's too difficult for you to talk about, if it's going to cause an anxiety attack or it's a trigger for you, you don't have to go through all of that. You can explain to them, this is too difficult for me, it's going to cause a panic attack, I've wrote it down for you. And so that is a way for you to be able to convey what you need them to know without it being a detriment to you.
Right. That's a good idea.